Sometimes God begins to reveal fake people in your life, not through obvious signs or dramatic events, but through something far more subtle, a feeling of discomfort. This is the type of discomfort that creeps into your spirit when you're around certain people. It may not make sense at first. On the surface, everything looks fine. They smile at you, they laugh with you, they even say the right things. But deep within, there's an uneasiness you can't explain. You don't feel at peace. You start questioning your own instincts, wondering, am I being too sensitive? Or am I overthinking this? But what you're really experiencing is God nudging you, warning you through tension that something is not right. God gave us the Holy Spirit, not just as a comforter, but as a guide. One of the ways the Spirit speaks is through discernment, a quiet inner sense that reveals what the eyes cannot see. Fake people are masters of pretending. They can put on a good show for weeks, months, even years, but they can't fool God. And when He wants to protect you, He will begin whispering to your spirit, giving you that gentle, persistent discomfort. He might not show you everything all at once, but He will give you just enough unease to make you stop and reevaluate. This discomfort can show up in different ways. Sometimes you notice they're always around when life is good, but strangely absent when things get tough. Other times you feel drained after spending time with them, even though nothing particularly bad happened. You might start noticing patterns, how the conversations always circle back to them, how they subtly put you down, how they always have an excuse for not showing up when you need them. You may not have concrete evidence to call them out, but God isn't asking you to judge or condemn them. He's simply showing you enough for you to pause, pray, and protect your peace. It's important to listen to that inner alarm. We live in a world that tells us to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, and that's not wrong, but it becomes dangerous when we ignore repeated warnings just to keep the peace. God doesn't stir your spirit without a reason. When tension starts rising in a relationship that once felt easy and comfortable, it's not always a sign that you're changing for the worse. It could mean you're growing, and they're not meant to come with you into the next season of your life. Sometimes that discomfort becomes a spiritual indicator that you've outgrown a connection. What used to bring you joy now feels like a burden. Conversations that once inspired you now feel shallow or forced. You begin noticing their words no longer match their actions. And while your heart may want to hold on, God is using that tension to show you that the connection is no longer life-giving, it's draining. This is often the first step God takes before He moves you into a healthier, more authentic space. Pay attention to how your spirit feels when you're around certain people. Do you feel encouraged? Do you feel respected? Or do you constantly feel the need to shrink, to hide parts of who you are just to maintain the relationship? When God brings tension into a space, it's not to harm you, it's to wake you up. He's showing you that the friendship, partnership, or connection you once relied on may not be built on truth. This revelation can be hard to accept, especially if the person is someone you've known for a long time, maybe even someone you love. But here's what we often forget. God cares more about your future than your comfort. He sees the conversations you're not part of, the motives you can't perceive, and the harm that's coming before it ever touches you. So, when He introduces discomfort, it's not because He's trying to make your life harder. He's trying to make your path clearer. The longer you ignore that inner warning, the more likely you are to get hurt by someone who was never truly for you in the first place. God doesn't always reveal fake people with dramatic betrayal or big explosions. Sometimes it starts as nothing more than a shift in your peace. That peace is priceless. Protect it. When you feel that peace fading around certain individuals, stop and ask God, what are you trying to show me here? Don't be afraid of losing people who were never authentic to begin with. Be more afraid of staying connected to people who delay your destiny. In the end, that sense of tension is a gift. It's God's way of separating the wheat from the weeds. He lets discomfort settle into your spirit so you don't settle for fake love, fake loyalty, or fake friendship. He will make the truth uncomfortable so you are moved to seek what's real. And when you trust Him enough to let go of what He's revealing, He will always replace it with something better. He will surround you with people who are genuine, who love you honestly, who build you up and not break you down. But first, you must be willing to listen to that still, small voice that says, "This isn't right. Pay attention." Conflict and distance are often viewed as negative experiences in relationships, but in many cases, they are part of God's divine strategy to reveal the truth about the people around you. We tend to think that all relationships, especially those we value, should be smooth, constant, and unbreakable. So, when someone pulls away, begins to act differently, or when disagreements start to increase, we often rush to fix it or blame ourselves. But what if those moments of conflict and growing distance are actually allowed, if not orchestrated, by God, not to hurt you, but to help you? God knows the hearts of people better than we ever could. He sees beyond appearances, beyond charm, beyond carefully chosen words. He knows what people say behind closed doors, what they really think, and what their true intentions are. And sometimes the only way to expose those hidden motives is to allow a break in the connection. When conflict arises or distance increases, it creates a space where masks begin to slip and real character is revealed. It's in those moments that God lets you see who's truly with you and who's just around for convenience. When someone starts pulling away from you without a clear explanation, it can feel confusing and painful. You may spend nights wondering what you did wrong or what changed, but that silence or absence might be God's protection. Not everyone who walks with you is meant to stay with you. Sometimes God allows people to walk away before they can do more damage. He removes them gently with distance, rather than letting them explode in your life and leave you with deep scars. What feels like abandonment may actually be a divine release. Likewise, conflict often shows up to shake you out of denial. You may have been ignoring red flags, brushing off little comments, or excusing repeated disrespect. Then, suddenly, a disagreement arises and it escalates quickly. Words are said that can't be taken back. Hidden feelings surface, and while the fight may be unpleasant, it brings clarity. Conflict strips away the performance. It reveals what's been brewing under the surface. It makes clear whether someone is truly invested in the relationship or only in what they can get from it. God doesn't bring conflict to destroy, but to refine. In relationships, tension can be a testing ground. When things get difficult, people reveal their true priorities. Some will stand with you and work through the issue. Others will turn on you, distance themselves, or attack your character. That reaction is not random. It's a reflection of what was already in their heart. And God allows that moment to happen so you're no longer blinded by the illusion of loyalty. Many times we pray for God to reveal who's really for us. But we expect that revelation to come in a gentle, easy way. We don't expect the answer to come through an argument, a betrayal, or someone suddenly becoming cold. Yet that's often how God works. He brings heat to reveal the cracks. He uses friction to show what's fragile. And though it hurts in the moment, It spares you from deeper pain down the road. Distance, in particular, can be a blessing in disguise. When someone starts pulling back, it's easy to feel rejected. But instead of chasing after them, sometimes you need to pause and ask God, are you removing this person for a reason? The truth is, when someone is not aligned with your purpose or cannot go where God is taking you, He will create separation. The distance is not always punishment, it's preparation. God may be clearing space for healthier, more supportive relationships. He may be weeding out distractions, draining influences, or people who no longer align with your growth. Conflict and distance also serve another important function. They test your identity. When people you trusted suddenly turn cold, or when relationships you poured into begin to crumble, you are forced to ask yourself, who am I without them? It's in those moments that God reminds you that your worth does not come from who accepts you, but from who created you. He uses the withdrawal of others to deepen your dependence on Him. And let's be honest, not all conflict is bad. It can reveal that a relationship has run its course. It can bring necessary closure. Sometimes you're trying to revive what God is trying to remove. And when He allows conflict or distance, it's not a signal for you to beg or chase. It's a sign to release and trust. Because God never takes without a purpose. If He removes someone, He always replaces with better, whether that's a new relationship, a clearer perspective, or deeper peace. It's also important to recognize that not all distance is dramatic. Some people simply fade away. They stop calling. They stop showing up. And while that fading may sting, it speaks volumes. If someone can walk away from you with no explanation, no effort, and no apology, that's all the clarity you need. God may be showing you their level of investment, and while it may feel like a loss, it's actually a gain. The gain of no longer wasting your energy on someone who was never truly for you. In the end, conflict and distance are not just moments of pain. They are tools of revelation. They allow truth to come to light. They show you who is aligned with God's plan for your life and who is not. And though it may be difficult to walk through, you can find peace in knowing that God never allows loss without purpose. He is always working, always revealing, and always protecting. So, if you're facing conflict in a relationship or feeling the sting of someone's growing distance, don't panic. Don't rush to fix what God might be trying to finish. Instead, pause, reflect, and trust that even in the chaos, God is speaking. He's showing you what you couldn't see before, and in the end, He's not just removing fake people, He's making room for the real. There comes a time in every person's life when the truth begins to surface, often in ways we never expected. One of the clearest ways God reveals fake people is by allowing the truth to come out, through words spoken, actions taken, or situations that can no longer be hidden. At first, this can feel shocking. You may be left wondering how someone you trusted so deeply, someone who seemed loyal and sincere, could have been so deceptive. But God, in His mercy, does not allow lies and deceit to remain hidden forever. When the time is right, He allows the truth to be exposed, not to hurt you, but to heal you and set you free from relationships built on false foundations. Exposed truth is one of God's most powerful tools. For a while, fake people can put on a convincing mask. They can play the part, say the right things, and even act like they care, but truth has a way of rising to the surface. God is not a God of confusion. He is a God of clarity, of justice, and of light. And when there are people in your life who are not truly who they appear to be, God will often allow situations to unfold in such a way that their true colors are revealed. Sometimes this happens through overheard conversations or unintentional slips. Someone might say something that contradicts what they've told you, or they might reveal how they really feel in a moment of frustration or carelessness. Other times, the truth comes through patterns, repeated inconsistencies, behaviors that don't match their words, or moments where their loyalty wavers when it really matters. God will let these things come into the light not so you can retaliate, but so you can recognize what's real and what's not. The process of seeing the truth can be painful. It's not easy to realize that someone you cared for, confided in, or depended on was never truly genuine. But this exposure is a gift. It's God's way of opening your eyes and protecting you from deeper harm. The longer a lie goes undetected, the more damage it can do. That's why God steps in often at the very moment when you're ready to move forward in your purpose, and brings the truth into plain sight. It may hurt initially, but it's better to deal with the truth now than to live under an illusion that would eventually collapse. There are times when you're not even looking for the truth, and yet God will place it right in front of you. You'll see something on social media, hear something in a conversation, or receive a message that reveals what someone has been saying or doing behind your back. These moments are not coincidences, they are divine revelations. God is answering prayers you may not have even spoken aloud, prayers for discernment, for protection, and for real connection. Sometimes the truth comes out in unexpected ways because God is shaking things up. He will cause the hidden things to come to light so that you are not building your life on shaky ground. You can't afford to have people in your circle who are secretly working against you, who smile to your face but resent you in private. That kind of duplicity can't survive in the presence of God's truth. So He exposes it gently, clearly, and often undeniably. One of the most difficult aspects of exposed truth is the betrayal that often comes with it. You may feel foolish for not seeing the signs sooner, or embarrassed that you let your guard down. But don't let that shame settle on you. You trusted someone because you had a good heart, not because you were naive. The problem wasn't your love or loyalty. It was their deception. God never faults you for loving someone with sincerity. He simply steps in when the time is right to show you who is deserving of that love and who is not. The exposure of truth also gives you the power to make new choices. Once you know the truth, you can't go back to pretending. You may have to distance yourself from people, set boundaries, or walk away completely. That's not cruelty. That's obedience to God's protection. He didn't show you the truth so you would ignore it. He showed you so you could be free from the hold of false relationships and move toward what's real and healthy. And the beautiful thing about truth is that it not only removes the fake, it makes room for the genuine. When the wrong people are exposed and removed, the right people can come in. God won't leave a void in your life without the intention to fill it with something better. But the first step is exposure. The first step is allowing yourself to see clearly what God is trying to show you. It's important to respond to exposed truth with wisdom and not vengeance. When God reveals someone's true character, your job is not to fight back or spread what you now know. Your role is to thank God for the clarity and walk forward with discernment. Let God handle what needs to be handled. Trust that He sees more than you do, and that He will deal with every lie, every betrayal, and every act of deception in His own perfect way. So, if you're in a season where truth is being revealed, if people are showing their real selves, if things are coming to light, don't panic. Don't try to force relationships to go back to how they were. Instead, see this for what it is, God showing you who's truly with you. Take it as an answer to prayer. Take it as God's way of cleaning your circle so that what's left is solid, sincere, and supportive. Truth is never the enemy. It may sting at first, but it ultimately sets you free. And when God is the one doing the revealing, you can trust that He's doing it not to harm you, but to help you. Because the people who are meant to walk with you will never need to be exposed. They will already be walking in truth. Hard times have a way of stripping away illusions. When life is going well, when you have money in your pocket, success around you, and joy in your voice, people naturally gather. They want to be near the light, close to the blessings, and connected to your upward momentum. But when those seasons shift, when you lose your job, fall into depression, face betrayal, or encounter loss, that's when true loyalty is tested. And often, that's exactly how God reveals who's real and who was only there for what they could gain. God uses difficult seasons as a refining fire, not just for you, but also for the people around you. Trials don't just build your character. They expose the character of those connected to you. It's easy for someone to smile with you on the mountaintop, but only the genuine ones will walk with you through the valley. God allows hardship to come not only to strengthen your faith, but to separate the authentic from the opportunistic. In hard times, people show their true selves not just in what they say, but in what they do. When everything is going wrong, that's when you start to see who really checks in, who reaches out without being asked, who listens without judgment, who stays when there's nothing left to offer but pain, silence, or struggle. That's loyalty, and often it's not the ones you expected. Some of the loudest voices during your successes will go silent when trouble hits. Some people will distance themselves not because they're busy or confused, but because your hardship makes them uncomfortable. They were never connected to you. They were connected to your success, your energy, or your image. God allows those moments to show you the truth, not to break your heart, but to break the illusion. He wants to surround you with people who love you for who you are, not for what you have or what you can do for them. That's why He allows storms, not just to test your foundation, but to shake off what was never built to last. The people who leave you in hard times were never assigned to your destiny, and the people who remain quietly, faithfully, are the ones He wants you to hold on to. There's something powerful about the people who stay. They don't need explanations or performances. They see your weakness and don't run. They hear your silence and still reach out. They make space for your pain, and they don't use your vulnerability against you. These people may not always have the right words, but their presence speaks volumes. God will highlight these individuals during your hard seasons, because they are proof that love still exists in pure form. And often they are the very people who will help you rebuild when the storm passes. Sometimes the test of loyalty isn't just in absence. It's in how people behave when you can no longer benefit them. Do they mock you? Do they gossip? Do they minimize your pain? God watches how people handle you in your low moments. He takes that seriously, and in His perfect timing, He brings the truth to the surface. You may overhear a conversation, see how someone talks about you when you're not in the room, or notice how they switch sides when you're not in power. All of these are signs that God is using your pain to clean your circle. This process can be incredibly painful. It's not easy to realize that people you've celebrated, prayed for, and stood beside are nowhere to be found when you need the same in return. But remember, this isn't just about exposure, it's about preparation. God is preparing your heart for the next level, and He will not allow you to take the wrong people with you. Their absence is your protection. Their silence is your answer. There's also a deeper purpose in all of this. When loyalty is tested and exposed, it pushes you closer to God. You begin to see that while people may be temporary, His presence is eternal. In your lowest moments, He never leaves. Even when everyone else walks away, He remains faithful. He comforts, He strengthens, and He reminds you that your identity was never meant to be rooted in people, but in Him. Your worth is not defined by who stayed or who left. It's defined by the one who called you His own before anyone else even knew your name. And here's the truth: everyone isn't meant to walk with you forever. Some people are seasonal, and that's okay. What's not okay is clinging to people who can't handle the weight of your calling or the pressure of your process. God will make sure that by the time you rise again, and you will rise again, the only people around you are the ones who were meant to be there. Not the pretenders, not the opportunists, but the faithful few who saw your worth when the world couldn't. So if you're in a hard season right now, if you feel abandoned, betrayed, or alone, don't be discouraged. Don't waste energy chasing people who walked away when you needed them most. Instead, thank God for the clarity. Thank Him for using this season to remove the noise, expose the truth, and reveal the strength of your support system. Sometimes subtraction is the beginning of multiplication. What you lose in people, you gain in peace, purpose, and power. Hard times may break your heart, but they will never break what God has ordained. Let Him do His work. Let Him purify your circle. Let Him show you who's real. And as He does, rest in the knowledge that the people who are meant to walk with you, those with true loyalty and love, will not be moved by your pain. They will be drawn to it, not to fix you, but to stand beside you as you heal. Those are the people worth keeping. And by testing loyalty in your hard times, God helps you find them.